Any doubts up to now? Up to now is crucial for two aspects. One is for map marking. First question itself, almost around 8 to 9 questions. They are asking from prehistoric age. It could be Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Up to that point, one significance. The second significance is this is going to become the foundation for Harappa. If you have good connectivity from here, understanding Harappa is simply just, it's like another culture. Whatever we learn up to now, same features are going to come in Harappa, only with some extra urban features. That's why in two aspects, with respect to question format also, with respect to map question, because this is one area where if you are not comfortable, history scores will go down. That's why I have taken some time to explain clearly. If you are comfortable this part, reaching 300 in history is not at all a difficult part. Just because of this part, it was almost becoming impossible to reach there. This map question, because up to 8 to 9 questions are related to this part only. And if you include Harappa also, sometimes 10 questions also may come. So definitely up to Harappa, if you see 8 to 9 questions from this part only. With respect to questionals, another one, Harappa. With respect to Harappa, some questions can be related to map also. There also questions come, and normal question also. And in this one, we have like origin, decline, continuity, how Harappan civilization emerged, how it declined, and how it continued. They have connection with this part. That's why here Neolithic, Chalcolithic. Before the rise of Harappan itself, we see these cultures, including before that Mesolithic and Paleolithic. These features, Neolithic and Chalcolithic features, laid the foundation for Harappa. After the decline of Harappa, once again we are going to see Chalcolithic. So before Harappan, mature Harappan stage, we have Chalcolithic phase, and after Harappa also we have Chalcolithic phase. And up to this point, if you have clear-cut idea, in paper 1, this is one of the crucial areas where questions are also coming and a little bit difficult also. In terms of map also you can score more. In terms of question also you can give very good quality answer with a lot of evidence. If you are good in map, you can give so much evidence. That's why this chapter is very, very crucial for history optional student. In GS, we will not worry about these many things. Sanju, all right? Are you able to speak? You can message me. I am not able to hear you. So whenever you have doubt, just you ping. Okay, fine. Now today you give the heading. The rise of Harappan culture. Just I will draw the map, later you draw it. Which one? Both will come. Yes, I will give you the question now, you will understand. Because they are going to, in question itself, they will link mature Harappan stage with the pre-Harappan stage. Now our focus goes to this part. In order to understand Harappan civilization, here little bit understanding of geography. This is Indus River. And here we have different tributaries of Harappa. Then we have, in our Indian terminology, we call it as Saraswati River, or there is another term, Gaggar. Hakra River. In other term, this is Sindhu, Saraswati. Because Harappan civilization is a very debatable issue. Because it was discovered when we were a colony. That's why if you accept this is part of indigenous development, then it goes against the British colonial propagation. They always used to say that India never had civilization. But if they accept this, India was having great civilization, it goes against their own idea. That's why they always tried somehow to find some kind of link with West Asia. Because when it comes to West Asian civilization, like Indus, based on Mesopotamia, already one civilization emerged. This is before Indus civilization. That's why they tried to link that these are nothing but these Mesopotamian people, they came and they started urban areas. And this goes against, whenever someone says this statement, then evidence, archaeological evidence says the otherwise. Because much before the emergence of Harappan, urban areas, already so many settlements were there. Neolithic settlement, Chalcolithic settlement, proto-urban settlement, script also just emerging. Then how can you explain that? If someone came suddenly and emerged, then how can you explain that what happened to the previous settlements? Who are these settlements? That's why there are various debates. In our examination also, explain about the rise of Harappan civilization. Various theories related to such kind of questions will come. First, I will give one question. You write this. The urban character of the Harappan civilization was a result of neither any outside influence nor a sudden act. But a gradual evolution of regional socio-economic factors. This question is asked just last year, 2022. In bracket you give 2022. You write one more question. This question is also related to origin. Was India civilized before the advent of Aryans? Full question mark. State briefly the extent and striking features of the earlier civilization, comma, if any. In this question, are they saying anything related to Harappa or Indus? Is there any term? Directly there is no word. Simply they are saying before the advent of Aryans was India civilized. If there is any civilization, explain the characteristics and extent. Simply they are asking about Indus Valley civilization. This is how, because this is the debate, whether India is a civilized one or not, because it was discovered in 1921 only. Up to 1921, we were only thinking that our history started with Rig Veda. But problem is, the time period of Rig Veda also we don't know. Whether it is today we are saying Rig Vedic time period is 1500 to 1000. But that time we don't know. Rig Vedic time period. And in our Vedas and Puranas, our history is like initially like yugas, 4 yugas, Satyug, Tretayug, Dwapar and Kali Yuga. Whatever we are seeing today, it is considered as Kali Yuga. Before that, Dwapar then Treta then Satyug. But exactly these times we don't know, this chronology. This is where UPSC even asks question related to Puranas also, how Puranas provide chronology or how Puranas view the Indian history. Sorry? But these earlier form of, initially they were orally transmitted. They were not even written. Smriti and Shruti. Shruti literature was only orally transmitted. Memorizing. Oh, initially it was not put to write. That's why if you go by the material which is available now, our Vedas will even go to the latest time period, maybe 600 BCE or 1000 BCE. That's why we cannot take when it was, because material may change continuously. Many people, so it's like a computer, 1940 computer is different, 2022 computer is different. And if once someone records Vedic in latest computer, it doesn't mean Vedas compiled now. That's why same thing on palm leaves they used to compile and they used to write. But some might have destroyed and someone might have rewritten. That's why exact the material dating we cannot say. This is oral tradition. Only if there is any rock inscription it will stay. Based on these evidences only, even though in India there was no rock inscription, but some Aryan related inscriptions were available in West Asia, because they migrated this side also, Iran also, India also, Europe also. Based on certain inscriptions in West Asia, and also horse. Horse is very, very crucial for Aryan civilization. And when horse emerged in the human history. So from that time period onwards, if we take, it goes around like 4000, 5000, that time period. Then all these Vedas must have been compiled or composed after that time period only. So, and also linguistic affinity. European languages, Iranian language, West Asian language, Indian Sanskrit language, they have some kind of commonality. That means somewhere these people were connected in the history. So based on these evidences, mostly agreed parties from Central Asia, from steppes, they migrated in all the directions, and one branch came to Indian subcontinent as well. So this question is saying, before the advent of Aryans, was India civilized? So it is not that Vedic started the civilization in India. Much before them, already India is a civilized one. So this is a major breakthrough in our Indian history. And if script also deciphered, as of now we are putting it as a part of proto-history, but that becomes a history itself. So it goes, as of now, if we take 1500 is the beginning, now this goes pushed to 1000 years back. So it makes one of the earliest. If they simply say history, you can mention prehistory also, proto-history also, history. But you give only in. Huh. From that time, so we don't consider total history as a full-fledged history. As a full history, we consider it a partial history. Huh. But you can mention in single line. History is the branch we take from the invention of the script. But in our Indian culture or Indian subcontinent, the human activities were there even much before the invention of the script. Only one line, two line, so that you will not miss. Introduction itself. So prehistory is there, proto-history is there, but actual history starts from here. You are not going to miss any point, because this gives extra point for you. And if we want to trace the human evolution, we cannot miss prehistory at all. And in fact, this history is the foundation of this history laid by proto-history people and prehistory people. So without them, there is no history of the people. That's why we have to mention them. But again, only 2 lines or 3 lines maximum, depending on the question. But UPSC will not ask when history started like that. It always starts prehistory or the socio-cultural developments of different time periods. This is one question. This is how it comes. Right, one more question. Whatever the features we have, they did not die with the civilization. And they continued in the later time period also. That's why the Harappan civilization ended, but Harappan culture is continuing. It is similar to Chalcolithic culture. Before the rise of Harappans, they ended, but their traditions continued into the Harappan. Similarly, like this, you write one more question. This question will give you the connectivity after Harappa also. The Indus civilization had an abrupt end. You give in this quotation, the civilization, single quotation. The Indus civilization had an abrupt end, full stop. Discuss the statement. Discuss the statement and explain how the Indus civilization could influence Indian culture in its later history. This question was asked in 1988. That time 60 marker. 60 marker. Oh, you can write so many things at that time. But now maximum 20 marks only. All those contents you have to fit into maximum 20.
This question, if anyone asks who knows about who has learned 601, we will only take 13 pages or more to write this answer.
Okay.
It is very good and very detailed.
So many things to write.
Let's start from culture to religion. From culture, at one place we still have big factories, strategy, and ending with that religion, that proto Shiva, we still use Shiva. In the middle we have this feudal practice, so life after birth, we practicing Hinduism, we practicing Buddhism also, that the Chakra, we mentioned that.
Swastika.
And then the chess also. Chess has evolved as a high place to game. Tournaments happen all over the world. But the birthplace of chess in India and the rock pieces have been found in Harappa, and also the lingas that we
Amulets.
In the Bhakti movement, in South, they were just lingas they are called. Those were the followers of Shiva. In the granaries now also we have granaries. We have not granaries like Harappa, but we have a better storage, like cool
storage facilities.
And we have public pools for entertainment purpose. They also had a great bath and
water management techniques still we are following. So like that you can have in all the multiple dimensions. Now in UPSC you have to concise into 20 marks. Maximum 2 pages depending on the question, 2 page or 3 page. You are not going to elaborate all those features, but you are going to mention this continued, this continued, this continued likewise. Now you see this question, earlier question that was asked in 1982, the previous question. Was India civilized before the advent? That question was asked in 1982. You mentioned that, 1982. Because nowadays UPSC just changing these old questions into new form. Word will change, but concept is going to be the same. By seeing these questions, we will have right picture.
So this second question, 1988 question, the investigation had an apparent in Bipan question. The first have to mention about how the civilization ended. All those series have to be then have to be about then have to write about this how the civilization ended. It has two parts, or it has a smart part.
Two parts. How abrupt end means we are not going to agree to that theme, because it do not have any abrupt end. It's a gradual decline. Suddenly urban area will not emerge, suddenly urban area will not disappear. Always you will find transition period for the rise also, same transition period for the decline also. Statement is saying suddenly it rised, suddenly declined. Abrupt end. No, it is not going to take place.
That will also explain that why it is not an abrupt end. We have better at first, and then they is transferred to natural Harappa, then the height of urbanization. Then slowly, due to various reasons like changing course of the river or natural calamities or the attack from foreigns, the Harappa civilization did not end, but we started living like the Chalcolithic period.
Right. Gradual decline because agriculture pressure, rivers change course, then trade declined, then gradually they moved towards the rural areas to find other subsistence pattern. And these areas became the Chalcolithic culture later.
In the civilization, we don't have an abrupt end, but a gradual decline.
Gradual decline. So that is the theme of that question. And here the next part you see, the continuity. Was there any continuity? How it could influence the Indian culture in its later history. So now you see, this question I am giving just to give you the connectivity. If Harappan features and Harappan culture could influence the later time period, same theme will apply to the cultures which emerged before Harappan also. Before Harappan, Neolithic, Chalcolithic settlements were there. Those cultures influenced into the Harappan culture. UPSC can ask this side also. Now if I write this, this is Harappan phase. This is Neolithic phase. Chalcolithic phase. And after Harappan phase, post Harappan phase. Now this question is talking about it declined, but after that these features continued.
Modular large scale was still continued. Modular large scale, like we found everything Harappan was there, but in small scales.
Civilization ended, but culture continued. We have to explain what are the features that we are continuing even today also. What are those features? Now the same question can be applied to this part also. Neolithic features entered into Chalcolithic features, and Chalcolithic features continued into Harappan phase. Copper example, they developed some other technology by mixing tin. So they have taken some features from the previous generation and they modified it. Same thing. So now in a better way, more advanced way, because it reached, they got all the tools to develop, refine into the new way. For example, at the time of independence, Indian economy was in a different condition. Indian agriculture, Indian industries, Indian service sector was in a different shape. After 75 years, now technology changed, education levels changed, our understanding about the world also changed, our interaction with the world also, globalization also changed. As a result of that, before 1947, the same culture, but we are doing in a different way. For example, those who were writing the, suppose, books, in 1940s also, our freedom fighters also have written books. But today, our Indians are also writing the books now, but in a different format. The books are printed, whatever in 1940, the book theme may be same. For example, Ramayana, Mahabharata, someone might have written. Theme may be different, but the way they presented, now it is going to different, according to the present circumstances.
And also when cultures have got different interpretations of Ramayana, also like in Buddhist scriptures, I read from Ramayana, but it was that Rama was actually the father of Sita, and then he got approval of their parents, so they fought the war. And also in Valmiki Ramayana, it was it's a different part of Valmiki Ramayana. That was when Rama and Ravana were fighting. Then Rama was too tired and he was unconscious. So Sita took the form of Kali and then he fought against Ravana and then he
Multiple versions. Now this Ramayana story in Indian subcontinent itself, there are so many versions. In Kerala we have, in tribal pockets we have one, in northern Gangetic Plain one, and once it crosses Southeast Asia, different versions. And in Jainism also, these characters will come. In Buddhism also, characters will come. In Hinduism, obviously it is there. So this tradition will change from one form to the other form, but it influences. In history optional, there are so many such questions, like how Buddhist ideals were influenced by Upanishadic thought. How Ashoka Dhamma influenced by Upanishadic thought. And how later Vedic literature influenced by the indigenous elements. This interaction is universal. Similarly, this continuous interaction we have to keep tracking. Then only we get a overall broad picture. Nothing is sudden, nothing emerges out of blue. That's why those who ever says Harappan civilization has sudden rise. Because these Britishers, imperialist view, sudden rise, they discard all these things and they suddenly say someone came from Mesopotamia, Sumerian, and they started building the Harappan cities. But as more and more archaeological evidence comes, then instead of this one, the gradual evolution is the real explanation. This is one question. Now, you write one more question. 1997. This question is asked in 1997. The continuity of the Indus civilization. Write this question. Sanju, you write the question. The continuity of the Indus civilization into later ages was not confined to the religious and spiritual fields alone. Double quotation. Religious and spiritual fields. Field. F-I-E-L-D. Fields. Spiritual fields alone. Full stop. Analyze the statement. Analyze the statement. Now this question, just you replace the Indus civilization with Chalcolithic. Now if you read the sentence, how it will come? Just if you replace the continuity of the Chalcolithic age into later ages was not confined to the religious and spiritual fields alone, analyze the statement. So that same question can be applied at this stage also. If Harappan values entered into next age, the Chalcolithic and Neolithic values also entered into the Harappan age. So there is so much evidence to say that Harappan civilization was not a sudden one, it's a gradual one. To answer this question, whatever we have seen up to now in the previous classes, all those things are helpful now to understand this. This is one question. Now remaining questions, these are with respect to, one is with respect to the origin, how questions will come. Some part of the questions after Harappan civilization, there also question come, here also question will come, and remaining questions in between, like their religion, their trade, their burial practices, their agriculture, their subsistence pattern, strictly to the Harappan phase. The direct questions are not difficult for most of the students. Only difficult part is this before one and after one. Because most of the students are not comfortable in this part, that's why they cannot easily connect what happened before Harappa, and that question most students will leave in the choice. But UPSC gives A, B, C. You may be comfortable in A, you may be comfortable in B, but C, if question is related to this, then you are very good in AB, you can get very high scores, but because of C, you will go in dilemma, whether you take the question or not to take the question. That is why you should be very, very careful in understanding this one. This, and just it's nothing but we have to give more evidence about Neolithic, Chalcolithic, how it entered into Harappa civilization. So today we are going to deal how these elements entered into this phase with various sites. Then only we can easily get. If I simply say previous Chalcolithic, Neolithic settlement entered into Harappan means, we will not easily get. We have to see how it entered. First you give the introduction. Give the introduction. Introduction to Harappan civilization. Simply introduction. The Harappan civilization was the first urban culture in South Asia. First urban culture in South Asia. Full stop. The urban phase of the Harappan culture, the urban phase of the Harappan culture emerged from the proto-urban, underline this, proto-urban, emerged from proto-urban early Harappan phase. Proto-urban early Harappan phase. Proto. That's why proto-history. Why Chalcolithic cultures are called proto-history? It has the elements of historic it has the elements of prehistoric. That's why proto-history, it's not only the only script is the parameter. Script is very general description that if script is there, this is history. If script is not there, prehistory. You have to consider other examples also, other features of the historic period. Then these features have the beginning in proto-history. Proto-urban, early Harappan phase. Full stop. Archaeological evidence reveals a great deal about this is civilization. Great deal about this civilization. Full stop. It has varied subsistence base. It has varied subsistence base, comma, vibrant craft traditions. You keep underlining this. Subsistence base, vibrant craft traditions, vibrant craft traditions, extensive trade networks, extensive trade networks, etc. So varied subsistence base, vibrant craft tradition, extensive trade networks. This itself is a question. 10 marker question or 15 marker question. It itself is a question. 10, 15 or 20. And trading activities. If they don't mention any of this but just explain about the Harappan culture civilization means everything you are going to write. UPSC sometimes very, very specific. Write about trading activities of Harappan. Write about subsistence base. Just you give one question here for the perspective here. How questions can be asked in this zone. question. 2014 question. Do you think the Harappan civilization had a diversity of subsistence base? Diversity of subsistence base. Question mark, 15 marker. (2014). You see how question is coming? When it comes to Neolithic also we have seen subsistence pattern. Chalcolithic people same, and we are going to write more. That's it. Whatever Neolithic people, Chalcolithic people produced wheat. Harappan people also producing wheat. Earlier people know the cotton. These people also know the cotton. And earlier people used the riverbed. These people also using riverbed. So it is not something. If you start history with Harappan civilization, then it appears everything very difficult. But if you start the evolution since Neolithic and Chalcolithic, it is just a continuity of those traditions. This is one. So likewise, in Harappan civilization, it asks about subsistence, craft also, trade networks also, water management also. What was their religion, religious beliefs, society? Or broadly they can ask economy of Harappans. Same, whatever we have seen in one table form, entire like a society, economy, polity, because for religion and society, polity, we cannot easily deduce what was their religious belief, society and political, unless we decipher the script. Because we know Sanskrit, that's why Vedic people, society, Vedic people, religion, we are able to understand. Harappan people script we don't know, that's why we cannot easily understand what they mean. But these things, at least through archaeological evidence, we can identify. This is where, in the question if comes, importance of archaeology and literature, you have to understand this. You write one more question. (2019) question. The importance of archaeology. To understand this, you write this question. 2019. There are no literary sources. There are no literary sources for the Harappan culture. There are no literary sources for the Harappan culture. No literary sources for the Harappan culture. And no archaeological evidence. And no archaeological evidence for the Vedic period. For the Vedic period. Full stop. Explain the phenomena. Explain the phenomena. Do you see how UPSC is to mix? Indus Valley it is asking, and it is mixing the same question with Vedic also. About Vedic people we know from the literary sources, but about Harappans we don't have script. That's why we cannot read from the literature. We have to depend on archaeological sources. Similar question, actually 2019 question was a repetition of 2015 question. Just you write this also, so that you have how UPSC just change the phrases but ask the same thing. In 2015, you give in double quotation. Archaeology known of no Aryans. Archaeology known of no Aryans. Only literature Only literature knows of Aryans. Examine critically. Examine critically. So archaeology known of no Aryans, only literature knows of Aryans. You just replace Aryans with Harappa. How it will become? Literature known of no Harappans, only archaeology knows of Harappans. Or you say, archaeology known of Harappans, but literature knows no Harappans. This contradiction will come when it comes to, this is exactly the problem and debates about whether Harappan people are Vedic people or Vedic people are Harappan people. Archaeology says something, literature is saying something. One people don't have archaeological evidence, one people have no literature. This is where exactly all the confusion and all the debates, and sometimes our society also polarized because of this fact. That's why to understand Harappan, archaeological evidences are very, very crucial. Now this is one question. With respect to Harappan chapter, you can expect one question, 15 marker or 20 marker. With respect to prehistory and map marking also, you can expect one question. Our history syllabus, what is the first chapter in our syllabus? Sources. There we have archaeological sources, literary sources. As part of sources also, one question can be asked by linking this. So just up to now, just up to Harappan itself, almost, if you consider 60 to 70 marks in the paper, you will see, including map also, direct questions from Harappa also, linking with Vedic also, linking with the sources also. This up to this part is very, very crucial. And because if you are not comfortable, then most of the questions you cannot write. That's why some students are comfortable in medieval part. They used to write 3 questions in medieval. They are not comfortable in ancient part. That difficult part is this only. Okay. You used to write 3 questions in medieval.
I felt comfortable in writing answers during the medieval period. Then the Harappan period, but before that, the stone is clear. It was difficult for me to write questions.
Exactly.
Because actually, all questions are more or less the same only. Like how king paintings and all, like substitutes running stones. Sometimes it gets confusing. Like when is microliths is used and when is that
Polished stone tools.
But in but in medieval period, there are particular writers like Al-Ghazal or maybe they write particular things, and it's so different. Like the battle of Khangra, battle of Panipat or anything. It is like old document period, so it's easy for me to memorize and also understand and write.
It is a little bit analytical, and continuity is very much required. This is where history option itself is becoming difficult because of this part only. Because UPSC do not leave this part. In the form of map question it is coming. In the form of sources, archaeology, literary sources comparison, it is coming. And theories related to how urban areas are emerged suddenly. Because this is one area for Indian history. This is not only from the point of view of exam, but it is the pride of India's culture. When people in European countries, they don't know even what our urban areas mean. In that time period itself, we were living in urban areas. Because it gives the pride of India's greatness. From the cultural aspect also, it is very, very crucial in giving the identity to the Indian culture and Indian civilization. Because it is the first time, that's why it is also called first urban civilization. This emerged After this decline, India had taken almost 1,000 years to see once again urban areas. More than 100 years. By 1900 they declined, and 600 BC we see once again urban areas, second urbanization. 1,000 years it has taken. Now, despite having the example of, suppose if you have already one example, then you can learn something and you can immediately implement. It may take some time, maybe 1 decade, 10 decades, or 200 years. But almost 1,200 years completely we missed the urban features, and only after 1,200 years we are going to see once again urban areas. At that point of time, it was the ideas were going at very slow pace. That shows how much advanced these people should be. In 2500 and 2000 BC itself, if they are living in such a great cities, it reflects the kind of agriculture, it reflects the kind of strong industrial activities, it reflects the strong administration also. Because we are not able to know about administration because there is no script. Unless we read the script, only we come to know what their exact administration is. But as we don't know the script, we are only speculative based on what is visible to us. Grid pattern, town planning, water management techniques, extensive trade patterns, their terracotta figurines, if you see, varied lifestyles. All these people, all these elements are giving surprise how Indians were this much advanced 4,000 years ago. That's why it surprised the British themselves. It is one of the biggest weapons in the hands of our freedom fighters to counterattack the British imperialist view. That is why it is giving the identity to the Indian culture. That's why definitely questions will come from this area. If you see this, just from 2013 onwards, just I am writing questions. In 2013, we got 15 mark, 14, 15, 16, everywhere, 14 also 15 mark, and when it comes to 50, 30 marks we got, 16, 15 marks. In 17, 15 marks. 18 missed, 19, 20, 21. 19, 20, 21. 15, 20. Almost every year. 22, no question. In 23 may come. So they are living in between. 1 year they left, but 19 it came. 20, 22, no question, but 23 may be question. This analysis will give you how important this particular chapter. So you cannot miss. And it will be like A, B, C. One question be on Chalcolithic, one question be on Harappan, other question on something else. You have to know this chapter very well to understand all the parts. You may be very comfortable in Harappa, but you can write only one question. Other question might be coming from Chalcolithic or Neolithic. It becomes difficult for you. That's why you should have the connectivity between prehistory, proto-history, Harappan also. Sanju, all right, up to here. Up to now I have explained the importance of Harappan civilization, how important from the culture point of view also, from the examination point of view also. Is it all right? Is it all right? Are you able to speak? Fine. Now we will come back to this position. With few examples, we will see how it is connected. I will show you the images. Draw India map, you give this heading, Neolithic to Chalcolithic, Chalcolithic to Harappan. Here you give, there is a place called Bolan Pass. Khyber Pass and Bolan Pass. Two passes are very, very crucial in the interaction. This one. One is here, that Khyber Pass become crucial during the Vedic time period. From that time period, and at this point of time, Bolan Pass are going to play important role. Here, Mehergarh, Kile Gul Muhammad, Mehergarh, Kelegul Muhammad, then Rana Gundai, Rana Gundai, Gumla, Mundi Gok, Anjira, Siadamb, Anjira, Siadamb. Particularly for Mehergarh, you give Siadamb here. Mehergarh, you give 7000 BCE, beginning. And for Harappan, you give 2600 to 1900 BCE. 2600 to 1900 BCE. Now you see, this is mature stage. Before the mature stage, you see already how much development is already taking place. And here you give one more. Dates. You can make box also. Early Harappan. This phase is considered from 3200 to 2600. Mature Harappan 2600 to 1900. Late Harappan 1900 to 1300 BC. Do you remember what is the timeline of Jorvi culture? Jorvi. 2500 is Burjham. Jorvi, Deccan. Sanju, do you remember Jorvi culture timeline? Jorvi culture timeline? Or Ahar, Gilund, Balatal timeline? Approximately. That is Malwa culture around that time. Ahar comes around 2100. Jorvi culture 1400 to 700. And this South Indian Chalcolithic Neolithic 3000. So these are after Harappan and these are contemporary to Harappan. So this is how you have to remember. Something is going on in Northwest. They are going to become very advanced urban areas. After urban areas, once again we are going to see village. These are villages again. This fact also shows how developed Harappan people are. Ranagundai, Mehergad, Siadam. Amri, done. Here, you write one more. Amri, Balakot, Amri, Balakot, you will have so many places here. Code DG, code DG, just you mention somewhere here. Don't worry about the exactness. Just we need to remember nearby Indus Valley. Like that you just remember. Some are below, some are middle, some are above. Accuracy we will see when it comes to the map marking. And here code DG, somewhere here, Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro, somewhere here, Harappa. Harappa. Here, Kalibangan. Kalibangan. Banwali. Now the purpose of showing these things, here Mehergad is a Neolithic settlement. Some of these Neolithic settlements enters into Chalcolithic phase. Chalcolithic phase. Once these Chalcolithic phase enters, gradually they get proto-urban features. And these proto-urban features emerged into large-scale urban areas later. Likewise, there are so many sites are there. Pre-Harappan sites. Pre-Harappan means Neolithic sites and Chalcolithic sites. Whenever circumstances emerged, some of these pre-Harappan sites emerged into the Harappan sites, urban valley, urban civilization. Yesterday we have seen in Mehergad Neolithic characteristics earlier. Yesterday we have seen Chalcolithic characteristics. In some of the sites, now I will give you the list of some of the sites, and these sites we are going to write in detail, because these details are, as of now in Neolithic, Chalcolithic, I did not give the details of different sites, because I waited till now, because this is the right time. If you know those details, now immediate connection is those details are related to Harappa. This will help you to understand Harappans did not develop all these features suddenly. Already before them, 2000 years, 3000 years before them itself, the tradition is continuing. Suppose if I ask today, What is India's culture when it started? It has so many features. And did it start 100 years ago? Did it start with independence, our Indian culture? Or did it start 200 years ago? No. Did it start 1000 years ago? Or 2000 years ago? 3000 years ago? So, continuous process. Some elements might have started at 3000 years ago, they are continuing. Some elements might have started 2000 years ago, still continuing. Some might have started just 250 years ago. For example, English language, 250, 300 years ago started, now continuing. Before that, there was no such language. Before 1500 BC, there was no Sanskrit. Sanskrit continuing now. Brahmi script, that element was there, but today is different. Pali language, till recently in UPSC paper, one of the options was Pali. Pali. So that shows in different points of time, different cultures will emerge and they continue in the civil. Same is the case with Harappans also. Their tradition, their religion, their society did not all of a sudden emerge. Before them already conditions were set. These conditions we will see case by case in different places how they developed, and naturally it is going to influence them. Yesterday we have written about Mehergarh, right? Mehergarh Chalcolithic phase we have written. Mehergarh case study. Now what we have to do? Few more such sites we are going to do now. You give different sites, or you can give the heading. One heading you can give so that all these places you will have. Settlements before Harappans. Gradual evolution of Harappan culture. This is the heading you give. Kilegul Muhammad. Yesterday we have seen Mehergarh. Today, Kilegul Muhammad. Kilegul Muhammad. If you see the map, near to Mehergarh. Mehergarh is there. Kilegul Muhammad, near Bolan Pass, around that area. Write this. Walter A. Fair Service. Because this name is important when it comes to decline, that's why I am giving this name. Archaeologist name, Walter A. Fair Service, 1950. Conducted a small excavation.
What is the definition of Water Fair Service?
Sorry?
So what is the definition of Water Fair Service?
Description.
Definition, मतलब he's from army officer or archaeologist or historian.
Okay.
Because according to when
I understand. Just a second, let me see that. Walter A. Fairservice is an American archaeologist. American archaeologist. In 1950 means we already got independence. Pakistan, separate country. India, separate country.
So that means
Pakistan government took the help of.
from joint government, that joint archaeological survey of Pakistan and USA did a contract one.
Yes, so Pakistan government might have taken the help of Americans.
Because sir, that had very modernized archaeological.
We were taking help of Russians because we were close to Russian philosophy. And Pakistan natural, whatever is opposite to India, they have to go. So they have taken the help of. He was an American archaeologist. He conducted a small excavation. Okay. The excavation revealed 4 periods. Excavation revealed 4 periods of occupation. That's why whenever layer by layer, if you keep excavating, suppose this is the ground. First layer represent one culture. Second layer represent other culture. Third layer represent one culture. Like this, different cultures emerge. Now in this case, the excavation revealed 4 periods of occupation. Kile Gul Muhammad 1, 2, 3 and 4. So 4 levels. Naturally, the topmost layer represents the latest one. Next one, the older one. Then some other one. The lowest one represents the oldest part. Suppose before that there is forest area. Complete forest, no settlement. Someone cleared the forest, laid the foundation. That becomes, and after that, new people will come, if you consider, suppose this is a Neolithic. If they adopt the copper, then it becomes Chalcolithic. Then if they adopt the bronze and urban areas, that becomes Harappan civilization. This way, they have different layers. At this place, excavation revealed 4 periods. The beginning of the settlement could go back. The beginning of the settlement could go back 5500 BC. This settlement started 5500 years BC. Now 5000, now this is 7000 BC. Now surrounding it 5500 BC. Now when they are entering into villages, now you observe in this part, what is happening. In this part, there are still living in the Mesolithic stage only, Paleolithic stage only. When it comes to this place, around 5000, just Mesolithic stage is about to enter in Belan Valley. When it comes to northeast, there is no evidence of any settlement. Neolithic settlements comes in around 1000 BC. And when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir also, no evidence as of now, till 2500 BC. And much before that, already you can see the emergence of settlements. And this tradition, now why, there is a question also, why Harappan urban areas emerged only in here area, not in these areas? First urbanization took place only in this area, not Gangetic Valley or in the Deccan. Because this is the area where initial settlements started. This comparison, you can even say, Why socio-religious reforms or renaissance began in India only in Bengal? Why? During British time period, why not in other place, but in Bengal, socio-religious reforms first emerged? What could be the reason?
Because the people took initiative at first.
People initiated by?
So there are two reasons. That is that the religious dogmatism that was practiced in Bengal, that was more than the other areas.
Okay.
And the second way is that the education education, that is the westernized education, first spread in West Bengal, because West Bengal was in Calcutta, was the first capital of the British. So education way and the culture of them has spread into the minds of the Bengal, and it was a Bengal, the people of Bengal like Raja Raman, who first took the initiative.
So education came first. Modern education started comparing with other areas, this area.
Because it was the headquarters of the British Empire.
Headquarters of British Empire. Now before that, you are saying modern education began here. In the first place, why modern education began here? Why not here, here, here?
So because Calcutta was the first
First area to conquer. Because this is the area where they got the first hold. And later they got the hold here, here, here. So whenever they were going there, and they gradually imposed their ideals. So it is natural that this is the first exploited area, and the first reaction comes from that area. Already some conditions were set before that. It's a natural reaction or the evolution of that particular circumstance. Similarly, in these areas, even settlements are about to emerge. They did not emerge like this. Already settlements emerged here. That's why it is very natural, conducive for the rise of urban areas in this location. Kilegul Muhammad, now you continue. You keep getting this initial phases. A settlement began. Initial stage, you give the subheading. Initial stage. There was no evidence of pottery at this stage. There was no evidence of pottery at this stage. So pottery. Next, domestication. Subheading. Bones of cattle, sheep, goat. Cattle, sheep, goat. Bones of cattle, sheep, goat were found. No cereals. Two sickle blades were discovered.
So this is I'm writing about
Kilegul Muhammad. Kilegul Muhammad. Yesterday we have written Mehergarh, this Kilegul Muhammad. So from 5500 BC onwards, settlement started. In the initial stages, this is the condition. No pottery, just a beginning of domestication. Cereals also not produced, but two sickle blades founded.
what does it mean by global level? That means they dig out soil.
They dig out soil very carefully. Now suppose if this is the place. Now below the ground some cultures are there. First you will excavate. explore first. In our syllabus, that is a continuous process. That's a continuous process, very careful process. It also depends on the neighboring areas also. Because in certain areas, already major towns, cities emerged. Already villages are there, already in the present circumstance. You cannot remove the village and you cannot dig out. Whatever is openly available in the forest area, in those areas, you can. For example, when this comes to Harappan civilization, in the Harappan area, people abandoned. Mohenjo-daro area, Harappa area were abandoned.
We were living on the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa are same area.
Something might be there. This is Delhi.
Sir, no, I was supposed this is the soil.
Huh.
So I am walking there, and suddenly we start reading on morning, and suddenly we'll find those granaries and or it was already there. We could not be very.
When it comes to Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, there were mounds were there. Mounds, some area, abandoned area, but bricks were there. Burnt bricks they used for their urban area. And in fact, in 1800s, they were constructing the railway. People were taking away for the bricks. And when Alexander Cunningham, the director of the archaeological survey, and when he went and he observed, initially 10 years ago, in 1850s, he visited first. He discarded it. Like in India, so many such mounds are there, he discarded. But after 10 years, after closely observing, some seals were also discovered. Then he identified some important, something is there. Then they will preserve that area. After preserving, then they will explore it. And once they decide to dig out, in the first layer they see the evidence, radiocarbon dating, at what level. Then they will start digging out. Then in the next layer, they will check with radiocarbon dating, carbon C14. Then they will get the timeline. Then if they feel that the first layer is Kushana, then there must be some layer before Kushana's Mauryan time period, then they will go dig deeper. Then if there is something before Mauryan, that means something before Mahajanapada time period. So this is how they have to excavate. But problem is, there are some practical limitations. Archaeological survey also cannot do with a lot of force, because they have limitations of resource also. They have limitations of present day settlements also. Certain areas are already occupied with full of villages, full of urban areas, and they cannot remove the existing settlement and excavate. So with that, those are the limitations of archaeological. Cultural religious elements also, that suppose if it is a worshipping place, then you cannot easily remove. That is the biggest part. So with the limited availability of knowledge, we have to infer. That is why when it comes to literature and archaeology, we have to corroborate. The more evidence comes, our history will change gradually. Up to now, suppose if script is deciphered, whatever we are studying up to now, up to urban areas, maybe complete view may change. If script will throw some new light. But till that time, it is our understanding, we are doing this. Subsistence. Subsistence. Initially, they were nomadic, pastoralist, houses lived in wattle and daub, mud houses, wattle and daub, so rods and twigs. wattle and daubs, mud bricks made of mud, artifacts, microliths and blades, made of chet, jasper, chalcedony, Chalce, chalcedony. Different types of stone. With these stones, they were able to make. Same chalcedony, jasper, chat. With respect to Harappan artifacts also we are going to write. Mature Harappan stage 2500. So earlier, Indians were very great people. In 2500 itself, they were doing all these things. That was a great element. But we are saying these elements used 5000 years ago itself. 2500 years before Harappans, already these raw materials were used by the people. So it is quite natural when Harappans using these raw materials. Already the tradition is there. They built upon that existing thing. Next, bone tools. This is Kilegul Muhammad. We have written all these elements in the initial stage. Kilegul Muhammad, first stage. It began around 5500 BC. It can also be considered as in the end you give Kilegul Muhammad 1 Neolithic stage. 5000 to 4500. Whatever characteristics we have written, these are for Neolithic. That means up to 4500 BCE in Kilegul Muhammad, that particular place, these are the characteristics. Now after 1000 years, naturally some new elements will come, new technology will come, they are going to adapt new elements. Next one, Kilegul Muhammad 2. Kilegul Muhammad, second stage. So in second stage, we will see some differences. So whenever you see up to whatever level these elements are common, we consider it as level 1. And in the next level, if these are changing, then we will give level 2. This is the same like ancient India, medieval India, modern India. How we are categorizing? It is entire Indian history only. Why to categorize ancient, medieval, modern? Why not single Indian history? Some characteristics which were followed up to 750, some kind of institution, some kind of characteristics. Those characteristics changed after 750 or after 1200. That could be religion, that could be administration, that could be technology. Then after 700, 1800, some new developments came. New concepts, new philosophies, new education, political, administration, all these features changed. That's why we are categorizing it. Similarly, in understanding archaeological also, Kilegul Muhammad 1 has this kind of, this is Neolithic period. Now gradually it is going to enter into the new phase. If you do not disturb that particular culture, it will evolve into the next level. Kilegul Muhammad II. Now in the first stage there is no pottery. Now they are going to learn the pottery. Pottery. Handmade pottery. Handmade pottery in Kilegul Muhammad II. Here itself you write Kilegul Muhammad III, wheel made pottery. Now do you see how evolution is changing? In stage 1, no pottery at all. In 2, handmade. In 3, wheel made. Wheel made. This wheel made pottery, fine black on red. Fine black on. In Kilegul Muhammad III, in wheel made pottery, this is the color. Fine black on redware with geometric designs. Redware with geometric designs. Aesthetic level changed. Now initially no pottery, some crude level. Now designs, paintings also emerged. This is how emerging. Now the pottery, do you know what is the unique pottery of the Harappan people? Black on red. Harappan pottery is black on red. So they used to paint red color pottery, but on red color pottery they used to design with black. Now do you see in Kilegul Muhammad the third layer, fine black on red. This tradition continues naturally, but they are going to use on a large scale, mass level. Kilegul Muhammad. Sorry? Faience. Faience is a kind of stone tool, like the chet, jasper, chalcedony. Faience beads. Pose. Pottery. Okay, I will see that one. Okay. Generally they used to make with that material beads. Pottery, I will see that one. So this is how now you see evolution, and Harappans are going to use black on red ware only. Houses. In Kilegul Muhammad III, mud brick houses. Mud brick houses with stone foundations. With stone foundations. In part 2, there is no information. No information. In part 3, we got this information. And in part 3, the first copper objects appeared. Yes, first copper objects. Because problem with archaeological, in every layer you will not get every information. In layer 2 you will get something. In layer 3 you will get something. In layer 1 you will get something. So only we can understand, suppose if pottery is available, in the first layer no pottery at all. In second layer handmade pottery. In third layer, wheel-made pottery, and from there onwards, we get some other elements also from level 3. This is the pottery. Copper objects also started. So this shows from Neolithic stage to copper stage emerged.
We found houses with mud bricks. And in the part 1 phase also we found the mud bricks along with houses with water and ground.
Yeah.
So can we interpret that as Kilego 3 and part 1 has both mud bricks? So Kilego 2 also might have only mud bricks because that did not change.
No, this is not mud brick. Wattle and daub with mud.
Yes, it's a thatched roof.
Yes, thatched with mud.
Mud houses are also found. Then mud houses are also found in part 3 also. So the mud houses is in phase 1 also, phase 3 also. But we can also interpret that in the phase 2, mud houses remain the same.
Same. That way we have to infer. This is how archaeological inference. When 1 is same, 3 is same, that means 2 also must be same. Same thing. No, how can be? In the latest one is same, old one is same, in the middle also must be same. Infer the same level, similar kind. This is how. Now same is the case with others also. Like Mehergarh we have seen yesterday, and Kilebul Muhammad we have seen one. And you write one more thing. Next, KM 4, Kilegul Muhammad 4. Now you are going to see different. Now it is going to be the closer to Harappan civilization. Kilegul Muhammad 4. Pottery. Because in archaeology, pottery is one element which is abundantly available. Because after 4,000, 5,000 years also, it still remains. Whether it is rainfall is there, flood is there, somehow it survives. That's why pottery is very essential in archaeological point of view. Apart from copper objects, other objects. Well fired. Well fired, buff colored, pottery. Buff colored I need to show you. Buff color, little bit light red color. So this is how buff color looks like this. Buff color pottery. How it looks. So some kind of mixing. Instead of pure mud, now they started mixing with some other chemical elements also, so that now it looks more beautiful, more aesthetic. Changing technology. This represents the changing technology. Buff color. Well fired. Now they are coming to know that importance of firing the pottery, so that it can survive for a long time also, so that it will not break. Strength also more. And now requirement is also more agriculture, for storing also, for cooking also, for other storing the grain also, other purposes. When the society is changing, the requirement also change, technology also changes. This shows that. And naturally, when it enters into the urban phase, it is going to be even better one. The shapes included, bowls, jars, wide vases, base, different base, different mouth is different, base different. Pots were painted with geometric designs in black and red. This is the level 4. Now next you give one more settlement. This is settlement Kilegul Muhammad. Dam Sadat. Dam Sadat, AA. Dam Sadat. Date is 3000 BC. 3000 indicate 3000 BCE, period 2. So now you say period 2 itself 3000. Period 1 must be before that. It could be 3500 or 4000. And when it comes to characteristics, Kilegul Muhammad 4th level, whatever characteristics are there, those characteristics are visible in Dam Sadat. So this 4th means well-fired buff color pottery, bowls, jars, wide vases painted with black and red. Now you see, it might not have undergone Mesolithic stage, Neolithic stage. Just suppose one village is already advanced. Next village immediately absorb or just immediately inspire from it and they take it. Trading activities are also going on. Ideas also will exchange. Immediately they follow the new technology, latest technology. Suppose if something is innovated in USA, now we will not innovate once again, we will just reuse it. So fast development. So same thing will happen when it comes to the technology of those days. Houses. When it comes to houses, multi-roomed mud brick structures. Multi-room mud brick structures. Now you see Harappans. We are going to praise Harappans by saying they were having multi-roomed, double stories, separate rooms, separate washrooms, then sewage system, water management, well connected, streets are very straight. We are going to praise Harappans. But before Harappans, the tradition is already in 3000 BC itself, tradition is continuing. So they have matured enough to organize all this. That's why these qualities are happening in different locations. There must be some kind of authority which organized all these elements into proper planning, town planning. So this is to show that early Harappan people, now you see these are early Harappan. Mature Harappan, generally we talk about mature Harappan. But before mature Harappan itself, the foundation is laid. In 3000 BC, 4000 BC, 4500 on, in fact, Mehergad onwards you can track. Because this did not develop unless there is Mehergad at 7000. After 6000 something else, 5000 something developed, by 3000 something developed, by 2000 reached the advanced level. So this is how, now these many thousands of years development is there to raise such a high level sophistication. It cannot be said just someone came from Sumeria and established urban areas. These are the countering points. Now these are both in map pointing also they will come. In 30 words you have to write these things only. When it comes to answer writing also, how it is a gradual evolution means you are going to use the same. The more you use these names, the more you use these developments, the better score you will get. This is about Dam Sadat. Pottery, terracotta. Terracotta. In terracotta, objects include cattle figurine. Objects include cattle figurine. Female figurine. Female figurine. Small terracotta models of houses. Small terracotta models of houses. Terracotta models of seals. We praise Harappans advanced in seals, but already the tradition started by that area. Female figurine, mother goddess. That technology reached with bronze technology, mother goddess or bronze dancing girl. So the tradition is the climax. You can say it is the climax of the progress that already began thousands of years ago.
But also we have that meditating man, that we are environment, but it is like a terracotta.
Mediterranean.
The old man.
Okay. Mongolian race, Mediterranean, that one.
No sir, the meditating man.
Meditation man.
Meditation man.
Yes, yes. Half closed eyes. Okay.
It was made of terracotta, so terracotta figurines.
Terracotta figurines, stone images. So now already seal making in the beginning. That's why this is called proto-historic period. They are emerging. Then metal. Metal. A copper or bronze. A copper or bronze made blade. So copper, some mix of bronze also, blade. Of a dagger, blade of a dagger or knife or knife. Now you see, bronze also emerged. Your Harappans, they are going to utilize this is a natural gradual evolution, and gradually bead making, gradually bronze making, pottery making, everything emerged into the very advanced stage by that time period. So this is how we have to see about the emergence of Harappan civilization. When we come to the mature phase, all these terminologies just we are going to repeat. Seal making, religion, all these things. Already, the tradition already continues. Is it all right? Sanju, are you getting? Fine then. Tomorrow, I will give you a short test. 3 questions I will give, or 2 or 3. Okay? Up to now. Basic questions. Basic questions only. You revise. R.S. Sharma also you read. Upinder Singh, just you go through the images. Maps and images. Okay, Sanju, all right? See you then. Monday, class will be Monday. Tomorrow test. Either you can write in the home, or if you want to come here and write. Your fine. Okay.